Alrighty, folks. Good evening. Hi. I hope everyone is doing well out there. Welcome to our music town hall. So this will be an opportunity for folks to learn a little bit about our music department, our music programs between our BA in music and then the two BMus Bachelor of Music programs that we have to offer for folks. So we'll settle in and get ready for a lovely evening with my dear friend and colleague, Sebastian Howes, who is the interim chair of the music department. Sebastian, do you want to give folks a little bit of an understanding of who you are? And then I'll intro myself and we'll get going.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the introduction, Derek. My name is Sebastian Howes. I'm the interim chair of the music department for one more year. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what studying music at Columbia College means. Lots of details about our department, the different study directions, the difference between the BMus and the BA directions, and what we have to offer. And then we hope that we have plenty of opportunity for you to ask questions, because I'm sure you'll have some. And I'd also like to show you a couple of things aside from our website, our YouTube page, and a couple of other places where you can find out more about our program. So back to you, Derek.
Awesome. Thank you, Sebastian. So I didn't introduce myself. So here I am. I'm Derek Brinkley. I serve as the Assistant Vice President of Undergraduate Admissions here at Columbia College Chicago. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a creative family, right? So grew up around music all the time. I was a theater kid. I was a dancer. I did musical theater. I did acting. I played the clarinet. I sang. I did all the things, right? And so for me to be able to incorporate my role in college admissions and the work that I do at a creative institution like Columbia is really just amazing for me. And I really enjoy and have enjoyed my last almost 5 years at Columbia and looking forward to more. So what we're going to do this evening, I just want to lay down just a few ground rules first about the program this evening, and then we will jump right in. So first thing that I do ask is, if you are not speaking, please do keep your mic on mute so that we can make sure that everyone, particularly Sebastian when he's speaking or when I'm speaking, that we have an opportunity to be heard by everyone. We are recording this particular session tonight, okay? And this will be available for folks, all of you, if you want to rewatch it again after we're done this evening, or if you have friends and folks who may not have been able to join us this evening. We'll be sure to post this out and send this out so folks have an opportunity to take advantage of this. And then lastly, as you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat throughout the evening. I will really be moderating the event, so I'll be able to pass some of those questions along to Sebastian as we're going along in the presentation this evening. And as we get towards the end of the evening, if there are folks who want to actually verbalize and say their questions out loud, we'll have some time for folks to be able to turn their mics on and ask any questions that you might have. Questions this evening can range obviously from the music department in general, but you can talk about and ask questions about Columbia. You can ask questions about the admissions process and those kind of things. We are also here to help answer those questions as well. Okay, those are the ground rules for the evening. We're here until about 8:30 p.m. Central. If we are done early, we're done early, but we are going to be mindful of everyone's time and end right around 8:30. Okay, so if everyone's feeling good, we will go ahead and formally and officially get started. So I'll turn it back over to Sebastian to give you a little bit of insight about the music department and the different programs that they have to offer in the department. And again, as we're going through the evening, just go on and get those questions in the chat. I will make sure that I feed those over to Sebastian and we'll get those answered as best as we can. So Sebastian, why don't you give them a nice overview of your program in the department?
Thank you. So it's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. And without further ado, the music department at Columbia College is not a typical conservatory, a typical school of music. I think one of the most important things to understand about our programs is that we are firmly based on contemporary, urban, and popular music, which includes jazz, which for composers does include some classical, but we really take the music of our times as our starting point. We offer a full array of instrumental studies, vocal studies. If you want to, because more and more we have people who consider themselves composers or performers with laptops, that's all possible here. One of the most often asked questions, and we're immediately going to delve in, is the way you can study music at Columbia College. There are various ways. Columbia College is a liberal arts school, which means that aside from music, we have a dance school, we have a theater school, we have journalism, we have a movie, we have interactive arts and media, game design, an audio arts department, and so on and so on. There's architecture, there's fashion, there's so many other things. So as a liberal arts school, we have a fair amount of students who come to study music, not just to study music, but also want to take, let's say, courses in music business or other disciplines that they see in their future of what they want to do. So we're not necessarily a school that immediately says, oh, you come to a music school, you need to make yourself ready for the stage because that's the only place where you're going to be able to go. That's not true. Music in our book fulfills so many different roles. So in the BA direction, the Bachelor of Arts, you can study music and still have an enormous amount of electives left over of the 128 credits that you need to fulfill in the 4-year course of study. You can still have up to 40 credits available as electives outside of the music department. You can take it in the music department if you wish, but you're basically free to do that. So there is a core amount of courses that you have to do in music in order to declare your major as music. But other than that, you have a great amount of freedom to fill in the elective courses, the 40 credit hours, which is a good third of the amount of credits that you need to get in order to get your degree. Those credits you can take, which is what a lot of students do, either in audio arts and acoustics, so more music technology based, or in arts management, specifically towards music. But we have had so many different combinations. We also have people who do theater and music, or video games and music, or TV and cinema and music. There are all kinds of combinations possible. So if that is the direction you're thinking, the BA is perfect for you. There is also a more guided degree or set of degrees, which we call the Bachelor of Music. That's a specialized degree, and that comes in 2 flavors. One is really for the performers, but performers will also compose, also write songs. Singer-songwriters, performers, people who want to make their own bands, people who want to play, well, even jazz or other kinds of styles together, but really want to focus on a performance career. For those, we have the BMus in contemporary urban and popular music. Although it is a performance-oriented degree, we still have an enormous amount of creative courses that are both required and also desirable. So people who choose the Bachelor of Music in contemporary urban and popular music will have to take courses in songwriting, some composition, some orchestration courses. We have arranging courses, and that is then paired with an enormous amount of ensembles and a wide choice of private lessons. On the other side, we have a degree in composition, and there's still the word production there, although the production we don't push as much because that is an area that straddles so many different areas. Composition is really done in a very modern fashion. So for some of you who may have already looked at more traditional schools, composition is very often based on art music. Art music will have a little bit of that, but our composition program is really, really focused on making music for media, making music for theater, making music for dance, for collaborative performances, or things like jingles, or I don't know how many of you have ever heard of audio branding. Audio branding is when you make little sounds and bleeps and bloops that are part of, let's say, an elevator to warn people that the door closes. As funny as it may sound, we need composers for that because they actually know everything about the psychoacoustics that go into composing those kinds of things and exactly what kind of sounds to pick for that. So while it is a very creative part, and part of it's also electronic music making, obviously working in DAWs, there is still a performance part. So one of the things that we have with a lot of the people who take the BMus degree in composition is they are performing in the new music ensemble, in our laptop ensembles. They do a lot of ambient music, making soundscapes, and very often in both the BMus directions, you still have 8 to 10 credit hours available for electives. They take those in programs like audio arts and acoustics to get some extra technology in, or a few extra business courses. Even though both programs already have business courses built into the program, sometimes people want to veer out, have a little bit more than that, or some game design, especially making music for video games. But in general, those BMus degrees are far more strict and far more focused on really becoming a professional artist in music. So that's the biggest difference between the two. And I've been talking quite a bit already. So at this point, I would like to share my screen with you. And for those of you who have already seen the information, please bear with me. But our website is fairly extensive and gives a lot of information. And I just quickly want to show you how to go about this and how to find the information where you need to find it when you're looking to have greater detail about the things that I just said. So without further ado, yeah.
Go ahead and take care of that, Sebastian. I'm going to just share a couple of things here too. In the chat box, I did put links to all of our 4-year and 2-year degree plans for the 3 programs that Sebastian talked about, right? So our BA in music, our BMus in contemporary urban and popular music, and then our BMus in composition. So you'll find those in the chat box as well. And then I do have a question here, Sebastian, from Lance. What DAW does the music department primarily use? Is it Ableton, Logic Pro? Can you tell maybe a little bit about
Absolutely.
Software? Yeah,
all of them. So, we at this point, there's some people who love Logic and they think that's the cat's meow. And then there are people who hate Logic and say, oh, no, I'm only Pro Tools, or I only do Ableton, or I only do Cubase, or I only do, Audacity, which is free. They all do the same thing. There is a difference, and I can go into greater detail in a moment. There is a difference in Ableton, which is that Ableton is very often used for live performance, especially in combination with a smart little device called Ableton Push, which is a interface, sort of like a keyboard. So sort of, I don't have mine here in my office right now. I have it in my home studio, but it's wonderful to use. But that's for live performance. That is not something that you can easily do with interfaces like Logic, which is more for audio production. But we teach you concepts rather than the software itself. So as of this coming year, when we are going to have a technology requirement, we are going to be platform agnostic. Whether you come here with a Apple computer, whether you come with a Windows computer, whatever your device of choice is, the underlying principles are always the same. And you'll find that it's a lot easier to learn the principles and then use it in the machines that you're already comfortable with. And that's also how the industry works, by the way. The moment you go out in the field, you'll find that everybody has their own little things. It's sort of like being a pianist. We pianists always have to play on different instruments, not our own instrument. And you get used to it. It's the way to think about it, but it makes you far more stronger in your concepts. So all dolls are welcome. And without further ado, let me share my screen with you. So when you first go to the music department, which you can find under academics, and can everybody see my screen, by the way? Okay, wonderful.
Yep, we're good.
Under fine and performing arts, you'll find music fairly easily. And this is the welcome page. There's an events calendar, and we have a couple of small little things that you can take a look at. It is not that informative until you start clicking on majors and programs. So that's my next tab. That is where you basically see the overview of all we have to offer in one quick shot. So we have Music BA and BMus, a Music Technology BS, a Bachelor of Science, which is shared with our Audio Arts and Acoustics program. This is far in the future. We also have an MFA program, and we have a hip hop studies minor, and this coming year, a new vocal studies minor is coming. So I'm going to click on the Music BA and Music BMus programs, and that brings you to basically the core of what we offer over here. You'll see that there's a fairly descriptive explanation of the difference between the BMus. And if you want to know everything there is to know about this, you'll end up on exactly those links that Derek already shared with you. And that gives you the full program with all the courses that we have. And if you have any questions about those programs, either now or later, whether it's in a week or a couple of weeks from now, please reach out to us, and we'd be happy to tell you all about it. We have some of the departmental highlights. We have a lot of ensembles. We have R&B, blues, and basically the way that our ensembles work, in your first year, you go through a couple of survey courses. First, a styles survey, which is heavily centered around the blues. Chicago's a blues town. And all the current musics that come out of the blues. And from there, we move to R&B, hip hop, gospel. Everything has its place. The second year, there is a styles survey course that is more directed towards performance. In both years, you will perform a lot, but the second part, you can start making choices like, okay, I want to concentrate more on, let's say, R&B is your thing, or you want to do heavy metal or other kinds of styles that you feel very closely associated with, whether it be fusion or jazz. There are all kinds of different possibilities there. Then from there on, you get more and more refined choices in the third and the fourth year. And in the fourth year, lots of them are what we call showcase ensembles. And a number of choirs as well that you can take. So there's an enormous amount of performance going on. So performance is really big for us. And I can talk about it a lot, but it's actually far easier for you to see for yourself. And I don't know, Derek, did you put this one in already, the link? Not yet?
But I'll throw this one in. Yeah.
Then,
or if you want to throw it in the chat real quick.
I'll throw it in the chat real quick. Because this is our, if I can get to the chat, you know what? I'll do that in a moment, once I've shown this, because right now I can't see the chat. It's somewhere hidden. We have a YouTube page that has basically all our performances from the last 10 years on there. So there's an enormous amount of performance that we did over the last year and a half, where because of COVID, our technology took a huge flight. So there's an enormous amount of videos that we produced at that time. And I think it's a really, really good overview of pretty much everything there is to be had in the music department. You'll see videos and you'll hear music by student ensembles, by the directors themselves, because all of us are still practicing musicians. You'll also hear a lot of our concerts with our artists in residence. Every year we have really good artists in residence. This coming year, we're going to have Jonathan McReynolds, who way back when studied with us and then veered out and right now is a Grammy award-winning artist. We'll have Woody Goss from Wolfpack in the early spring, and then Tia Fuller, a phenomenal jazz saxophonist, later on in April in 2022 with us. But we have had people like Todd Lundgren. We have had an enormous amount of really fantastic performers, Corey Henry. And all these performers, they always stay with us for at least a week. Last year during COVID was 3 weeks, and they go with the students in the studios. They make really fantastic performances, and then it's always crowned by 1 to 4 performances for public, and those are recorded, and those recordings you'll find up here. The artist in residence concerts are always huge events. We also have every year a wonderful performance series as part of Manifest, which is Columbia College's big arts program, and all the recordings of those Manifest songs that we compose and create, you can find up here as well. So take my word for it, or better yet, listen. Hours worth of listening pleasure to be had over here. Last but not least, it gives you also a little bit of, here's Corey Henry, by the way, a little bit of overview of who our faculty is. One of our the latest people to join us, Cassandra O'Neal, who was most famously for more than a decade the band leader and arranger for Prince. But she worked with Mary J. Blige, Leanne Rimes, Macy Gray, a wonderful artist who you can study with. Alumni successes. So there is a lot of information to be had over here. And by the way, the YouTube page can also be found over here. It's one small link. So if you don't catch a link in a moment in the chat, you'll find it over here. So this was a little bird's eye view of the music department and our website. I'm going to stop the share right now, put the link.
Awesome. And I threw it in there for you, Sebastian. So we're good. I think.
Okay, great.
We did have a question from Isabella. And the question was, do you have any Latina or Latinx music ensembles on campus, or can you maybe talk a little bit more about that?
We have a Latin music ensemble, which is the showcase ensemble, but we have another ensemble right now that is predated at the 300 level. And I have to explain something about the ensembles, even though we offer ensembles at 100, 200, 300, and 400 level, which usually coincides with the year in which you study, 100 being the freshman year, 200 sophomore year. In music, it doesn't work quite that way. If you come in with a lot of experience already, we always have auditions at the beginning of the year, especially for freshmen when you come in. The weeks leading up to the first semester, but also during the first week of semester, we always hold extra auditions. And we place students. So if you come in and you already have a lot of chops in a particular kind of style, we don't hold you back. We will place you in an ensemble like that. So the Latin ensemble is very popular. We play a lot of covers, but at the same time, the students have also been composing for it, which is a very important part of all our ensembles, that we always encourage students to bring their own music and to develop their own music for whatever the band consists of at that point. So, but the answer is yes. And there is more to be developed in the future. It's one of the faster growing parts of our program. So thank you for the question.
Awesome. That is a great question. Sebastian, why don't I just briefly kind of go into kind of the application process and talk about kind of the portfolio, and we can kind of just talk a little bit about kind of the admissions process and to give folks kind of an understanding of what that kind of looks like.
Please do.
So as it relates to the process, you know, Sebastian did a really great job, obviously, of describing the three different programs the three main programs in the music area that we really have, right? Our music BA program, our contemporary, urban, and popular music BMus program, and then our composition BMus program. So these particular programs students can't apply for as they go through the process. When you apply on the application for admission, you would pick one of those programs on the application. You know, Sebastian gave a really great overview of the differences between the programs. I always try to boil it down to something very specific. I always kind of tell folks, I say, if you are really looking for breadth versus depth, the BA is probably the best route for you, right? If you're really thinking, man, I want to, yes, major in music, but I also really am interested in potentially double majoring. Maybe I want to pick up that minor in business. Maybe I want to do that minor in dance. Whatever that kind of looks like, the BA tends to be a really good route. So when those BA students apply, you apply to the college, you list music BA on your application. If you are admitted into Colombia, you are admitted into the BA music program. Okay, no auditions required for admission into the BA music program. Okay, on the flip side, again, there's the two BMus programs that we talked about, contemporary, urban, and popular music, along with our composition program. Those two programs, because they are much more about depth versus breadth, right? So it's a lot more focused in the industry. And again, if you open those links that we have there about all of the different 4-year plans and 2-year plans, you can see the credit difference between doing a BMus program versus doing a BA program, right? So for students coming into the BMus program, it is required that you go through an audition process, okay? So students must apply to Colombia, submit their application for admission, their high school transcripts, and then all of their audition materials, and we'll provide a link to a website where you can find a description of exactly what we want on that portfolio for the audition materials. But all of those items must be submitted to us by Wednesday, January 19th is the date this year. Okay, so Wednesday, January 19th, you have to have all of those items in, and then we pass all of that information, your portfolio, over to the music department, and then they will do their review and see if they want to select you for admission for our BMus programs. For students who go through the BMus program process, okay, and just as a reminder, I got a question in the chat, what major is this for? It's for the two BMus programs. So the Bachelor of Music in Contemporary, Urban, and Popular Music, and then the Bachelor of Music in Composition. For those two programs, again, that audition in portfolio piece is required. January 19th is the deadline. Sebastian's team will go ahead and review those portfolios, and then we'll let you know whether you have a spot in the BMus program that you wanted to get into, or we might say, you know what, you're going to come in and we actually would love to have you as a BA student. Okay, so either way, right, if you go through the BMus audition and portfolio process, or if you just apply to Columbia as a BA student, you will have a spot in the BA in music at Columbia College Chicago. Okay, so regardless, you know, again, if you apply for the BMus and you don't get in, you've got a spot in the BA in music. And then typically, most departments allow students to re-audition or reapply for their program after the fact, once you are a student at Columbia. And I don't know, Sebastian, if you want to talk a little bit about kind of what that process between the audition that we do on the front end, and also what you might do for students once they are at Columbia, what that process kind of looks like.
Absolutely. So it doesn't happen often, because I'm very happy to say that most students who have decided that they want to apply for the BMus upon entry are admitted. We have a fairly high acceptance rate. That said, every year there are a few students who we recommend that they're not ready for BMus yet, but that they're welcome to reapply after the second semester. So usually during the second semester, they already start preparing their audition, and then they can re-audition for reacceptance into the BMus program. We do that also. So if a student explains to us that they really want to do the BMus but start in the BA, we will actually recommend that they take the same amount of credits as if they were taking the BMus course, because that way you have the best chance of getting your BMus degree in the 4 years that you have to do. Because there's a slight difference that I didn't say yet. The BA degree requires a minimum of 120 credits to graduate. The BMus it requires 128 credits. That is exactly 1 credit per semester more than a BA degree. Whereas normally students take 15 credits for the BA, you would take 16 per semester for the BMus. That said, we have had, for years actually, we started with the BMus no earlier than the 3rd or the 4th semester, and it's totally possible to still do it at that time. So even if it doesn't happen in the 2nd semester, there is times after that as well. And we have had situations where that exactly that happened.
Awesome. A couple of questions that have come directly to me, Sebastian, that I would love to get your input on. The first thing I wanted to ask, as it relates to hip hop, this is from Isaac. How do we deal with subject matter and profanity as students are creating their music throughout their process and their time at Columbia?
I have to say that's a first. Nobody's.
I don't think I've gotten that one either.
As this question, I have to say that it doesn't really come up a lot. I know, I'm not going to lie about it. We know that this happened several times in theater where this became an issue. Colombia is very big on respect for everybody. And unless it's something that the artist really feels that needs to be part of the song. And again, I have to say, I haven't had it in the music department yet, and maybe that's about to come, I don't know. We usually find alternatives to something that packs as much of a punch as the profanity might do, but might be more thought-provoking than being offensive. And one of the things that is really very important as a music department, it's also one of the senses that we want to make sure that everybody is welcome and everybody has a place, and that nobody feels excluded. And that also means that we have people that we work with that we don't necessarily agree with. We all live in the same space, we work in the same space, so we have to live together. So that sense of community, that sense of mutual respect is extremely important. And I hope I'm not being seen as evading the question, but that's the best answer I can give at this time.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Cool. And you got a great answer from a individual that's here as well. This question, I'll be able to answer this one. So from Isabella, does Columbia College offer a full tuition scholarship? That answer is no, we do not have any full tuition scholarships. However, let me talk about scholarships kind of in general scope to give you an understanding of what that tends to look like here at Columbia, and I'll give you a little bit of an idea of kind of what we do. So first off, tuition and fees at Columbia for this current academic year that we are in right now is $28,756 for the year. Yes, I have that down to the dollar. $28,756 for the year is our tuition and fees. That does not include room and board if you are living on campus. We ask that most families budget somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000 to live on campus if that's what you are going to do here at Columbia. Please also note students don't have to live on campus if they don't want to. Okay, you can if you like. About 75% of our freshmen any given year will live on campus. After that, you see a lot of students still on campus. You see a lot of students live off in different neighborhoods within the fantastic city that we're located within. So $28,756 is tuition. There are 3 scholarship programs that all students can be considered for as long as you take the appropriate steps to be considered for these scholarships. First one is our merit-based scholarship program. These are merit-based scholarships based on merit. So we're looking at how well you did in your classes in high school, or if you're coming from maybe a two-year college or another college, we're looking at your classes in college. We are this year a test-free institution. What that means is that if a student sends in ACT or SAT scores, we will not take a look at them. We do not believe in them. We do not believe that they bring value to our process. And we don't have any data that connects whether a student can be successful here at Columbia along with their test score. Okay, so we are test optional. So don't even send it to us. Again, if you do, we're not going to take a look at them. Okay, again, merit-based scholarships, you would apply to the college. As long as you apply to the institution, we will consider you for a merit-based scholarship up to $15,000 per year. That depends on whether you're a freshman student, whether you're a transfer student, your grades, your GPA, all of those kind of things. Okay, so up to $15,000 in a merit-based scholarship. If you qualify, you will be notified in your acceptance letter that you get from us in the mail. Second scholarship program that we offer is a need-based scholarship program. So this is based on your family's financial need. In order to qualify for a need-based scholarship, you must file the FAFSA. It's the free application for federal student aid. The FAFSA just opened this past Friday, October 1. So you can go in there and start filing the 2022-2023 FAFSA. As long as you list Columbia on the FAFSA, we will receive your FAFSA results and we will take a look and see if you can qualify for one of our need-based scholarships. Our need-based scholarships range up to $5,000 per year, and they are stackable on top of the merit-based scholarship that I talked about before. Okay, so up to $5,000 in a need-based scholarship. I will tell you that last year, for every single freshman that filed the FAFSA, they received at least $1,000 through going through that process through our need-based program. A lot of families will say, well, my parents make too much or I make too much and we're not going to qualify for anything from the federal government or for the state government. And that may be well and good, but you may qualify for something from us at Columbia. So I always tell families, file the FAFSA, file the FAFSA, file the FAFSA, because even if you don't qualify for federal state aid, you might qualify for something from us, okay? Because we operate off of a different threshold because it's our money that we can work with, okay? The last scholarship program is a talent-based scholarship program, okay? The way the talent-based scholarship program works is that students, if you are applying for the Bachelor of Arts program, the BA in music, you would be able to submit a portfolio by January 19th. It's the same date that students who are applying for the BMus programs have to apply to the college. And I am here in a second. We're going to see this come through your chat box here. So the first link you're going to see is a link to our Faculty Recognition Award website. So for those who are applying for the BA program, you can find the requirements for that Faculty Recognition Award portfolio listed on that website that I just put up there. Okay, so that's how you would be considered for a talent-based scholarship if you apply to the BA program. If you apply for the BMus program, I just put a second link in the chat. That goes to our BFA BMus website. Students who go through that admissions process, your portfolio that you must submit for review for the BMus program will be the same portfolio that is used for the talent-based scholarship program as well. Okay, so BA and BMus students can all be considered for that talent-based scholarship program. The talent-based scholarship program, that caps up at about $5,000 as well, okay? And that is stackable on top of the other two scholarship programs. So up to $15,000 in merit-based scholarship, up to $5,000 in need-based, and up to $5,000 in talent-based. That's roughly $26,000 in total that a student could be considered for, and that's just scholarship money. Again, tuition's 28, so we're not too far off of what tuition tends to look like. And then, obviously, if you file the FAFSA, families can also qualify for federal grant money, federal loan money, state grant money, all of those other items as well, okay? So those are a little bit about our scholarships. I do see a couple of questions here that are related. Isabella, is this also for international students? The merit-based and the talent-based are for international students. That need-based, where you must file the FAFSA, unfortunately, you have to be a student who is eligible to file the FAFSA for the need-based one. But for merit and talent, international students do qualify for that as well. Let's see here. Victoria, can you choose 2 majors when applying for acceptance in Colombia? No, you can only choose one. Okay, so if you're figuring out and trying to decide between 2 programs or 3 programs, that's great. We actually have many of our students come into Colombia undecided. They don't quite know what it is they want to do, but they know they want to be in a creative environment like it is that we have to offer here at Colombia. So you can apply as an undecided student for now, or you can pick one major that you might be more interested in first. And then if at some point during your time, either prior to enrollment or after you enroll at Columbia, you decide you want to change your major, you can change your major. Sebastian, tell the people some things.
They're always around this.
Yep.
So, and although it's not officially recognized as a double major, in practice, there are a lot of students who actually do it. In music, it happens all the time. We have a fair amount of students who take about 20 of their credits in music and 20 of their credits for a BA degree in the audio technology, audio arts and technology department. It is basically the equivalent of a double major. And typically that happens with students who have been here for a year, have been looking around. And at first they came in thinking, oh, I'm only going to be a music major, or I'm only going to do audio arts and acoustics, or something like that. And then as they talk, they make friends and they start looking around, hey, what else does Columbia College have to offer? And they start realizing, hey, you know, what they're offering, I just registered as a BA major in music, but what they're doing in AAA, I like very much as well. At that point, it's very important to start talking to both your instructors, the coordinators in music, and also we have really excellent advising here to the advisors, and they help you do that process. It always crosses my desk, so at a certain point you'll have either talk with me or the chair of audio arts and acoustics, and we heavily support this because it leads usually to collaborative opportunities that are really good. And you can basically that way sort of design your own major. It will still be housed in one or the other department, but for future purposes for you, it basically functions as a double major.
Awesome. Yep, that's actually a really great way to get at that as well. One of the questions here from Joel is about campus tours. So actually, in this case, I'm going to just share my screen really quickly just to show folks our campus tour landing page. I am going to put the link in the chat box here. So for those of you that have not gotten a chance to visit Columbia College Chicago, we encourage you to do so. colum.edu/visit is our visit website. So when you get to our visit website, eventually you'll get to our main campus tour landing page. There's a nice 2-minute video that kind of talks about the tour in general. The way that we do tours at Columbia may be a little bit different than what you might find at some other institutions. So we basically have 4 different versions of a campus tour here at Columbia. Each of those 4 versions are focused on a different particular interest area or areas here at the college. Okay, so for example, we have our audio communications and writing tour. So that includes our American Sign Language department, our audio arts and acoustics department that Sebastian has mentioned, communications and English and creative writing. We've got our media arts tour, which includes cinema and television arts, along with our interactive arts and media, which includes like illustration, game design, some of those type of programs there. We have the performing arts tour for dance, music, and theater. So if you are truly like, I want to be a music major, I am going into performance, I'm doing one of the music BA programs or the BMus programs, the performing arts tour is the one that you would want to sign up for while you're on campus. You'll get to see more of those performing arts spaces. And then the last little area is our visual arts and business tour, which includes our art and art history department, business and entrepreneurship, design, fashion studies, and photography departments. We offer tours basically twice a day, 2 to 3 times a day, just about every day over the course of the week. One of the things that's important to know about our tours is that we do require any visitors to be vaccinated when they do come and visit campus, because we require all students to be vaccinated. And then faculty, staff, we don't require it, but this year for our community, about 97% of our entire Columbia community is fully vaccinated. This upcoming year, I see a clap there in the background, so we love to see that, right? And so I just want to say that up front so that folks know you must be vaccinated in order to do our tour. Also note that our tours include classroom and collaboration spaces, so that's where you'll get into those individualized kind of buildings that we'll get into, along with a residence center, so you can see one of our residence halls on campus. Our career center, which is located inside of our brand new student center that opened just, I guess, a couple years ago at this point in time, and more. So there's a lot going on our campus tours. And so again, colum.edu/visit is where you can find the visit website. And again, we totally encourage folks to be able to go through that process with us. Okay, so great question, Joel. Thanks for that. Another question, yep, from Victoria, and thank you, Caitlin, for answering that in the chat. If you are eligible for more than one scholarship, could you accept more than one? And yes, all of those 3 scholarship programs I talked about, they all stack on top of each other. So you could qualify for one, you might qualify for 2 of them, you might qualify for all 3 of them. And those are just the scholarships coming in to Columbia. There's a lot of scholarships, and Sebastian can probably talk about this, but there are a lot of scholarships also available for students once you are actually enrolled at Columbia to help keep you there, right? So it's not enough for us to just get you to Columbia. It's how do we make sure that you persist through the process. So Sebastian, if you have anything regarding some of the music scholarships you might
Oh yeah, we have a whole number of them, and I'll mention a few of them. Very often, they're based on special needs or special merits, and they happen by recommendation of our faculty. So let's say you're working in an ensemble and you've made a couple of really good compositions, and that might be one of the reasons why a faculty member will recommend you for the scholarships that we have available. They range between $1,000 to $3,000 per year, and we have those scholarships available as of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year. There are special, our late president, Warwick Carter, left a scholarship fund specifically. It was actually started in memory of his mother, but now it's in memory of both him and his mother, and it's continued by the children, for percussionists, for saxophonists, and for composers. We have a special William Russo, the founder of the music department, scholarship for composers. Then there are all kinds of one-offs. This year, we have several scholarships that are aimed at specifically women composers, minorities, people of color. There are all kinds of extra scholarships available, and the information, we'll make sure you have the information at your fingertips.
Awesome. We've got a great question here, Sebastian, from Will. Are there internships for either the BA or the BMus students going through the program?
For both. So the internships in music is slightly different than what you would normally associate with internships, and sometimes they start fairly early. So we always have work study positions, and they're essentially internships for people who are really good at theory. To help sort of the foundation courses, because not everybody is as good with theory, and some people simply need to hear it from their peers. Then we have tutors who help with guitar, with fretboard studies, or with keyboard studies. This year we have a couple of really good tutors for that. We have tutors in composition, for ear training, to help with ensembles. And those are the positions right here at the school. But then there's more. Pretty much every week, we get calls if there's a good student ensemble that we can recommend for performances all throughout the city. And we facilitate you to get those gigs, and if needed, we negotiate on your behalf because we will only allow our students to perform outside if you're being paid. And you may know Chicago's a union town. We do not want to undercut the unions, so you get paid well for those gigs. And then if you need gear, we have a lot of gear here at the music department, specifically dedicated for our students to take on the road to make money with it. So you can borrow amps, keyboards, and those kinds of things to go do your shows. It's of course all properly signed out, and you have to bring it back. But at the same time, that's how we help you to do things. Then there are other internships as well. Let's say that you're more in the direction of music business, music, or the organizational part of music. You still play, not a problem. There are all kinds of places, both on and off campus, that might require somebody like you to help. We facilitate a lot of those kinds of contacts. It is very important, therefore, and that's one of the things that Colombia is really good in. We have a career center that helps you build your portfolio to get yourself, your name out there. And, internships, it's not a matter of, us looking around and say, oh yeah, that person can go there, that person can go there. It takes a lot of your initiative as well. We give you the tools, we give you the opportunities. We also offer you an enormous amount of help in developing a good calling card, knowing how to negotiate your business contracts and those kinds of things. But then it is a shared responsibility.
And I think that's one of my favorite things about Colombia, I just have to say, is kind of the way that yes, it's about being a great musician or being a great actor or dancer, singer, whatever. I like the fact, though, that it's about how do you make sure that you can make a living in that profession, right? And so thinking about how do you walk through contracts? What does that actually look like? What does that mean? I mean, those other things that sometimes folks don't think about. I think that there's a difference that we do here at Columbia of really making sure that that students and folks know how to market themselves as they really go through their time. So one of my favorite things for sure. I think we're caught up at least on the questions here. Does anyone want to unmute their mic and ask anything out loud to Sebastian? Hi, Caitlin. What's up?
Hi, nice to meet you. Well, virtually, I guess. But a question I have, because I know we talked about it for a little bit. Coming from my background, I started off doing a lot of instruments and like music theory at like Old Town, but I want to stray away from that and do more music production. So how would I don't know, I still haven't really found out the answer to that. How would the music production portfolio look like for my application? Yeah.
For your application, what we require is that you basically upload a minimum of 2, but the more the better, of the productions that you've been working on. So, songs you've produced, performance you have been part of. Sometimes we get the people who have basically got themselves while they're DJing, show what it is that they're actually doing. So anything production related that you have been working at, it's also very helpful for us if you write an essay in which you basically say, this is what I want to do, and give some of the names, drop names, people that you're inspired by, things that you want to emulate, the direction you want to go into. So all that kind of information helps us see what you want to do. And I also want to tell you something. It is not on the books yet, but we're developing a production major right now together with business and audio arts and acoustics, because music production is not just music, instrumental performance and those kinds of things. There's an enormous amount of technology, and I would like to talk a little bit more about technology in a moment, but first to concentrate on your question. It is a far more collaborative part, because part of production is also video, and all those kinds of things have to come together, and that's what we're working on right now. So that's probably not in this coming year yet, but the year after that, it will definitely be one of the majors. So the first year of pretty much every major, whether it's at the BA or the BMus level, is more or less the same coursework as far as music is concerned. So if that major becomes very likely at this point, will be on the books in the year 2023, 2024. Boy, that's in the future.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know, right?
that would be, hypothetically speaking, your second year. You could change your major at that point. That's very easy to do, and you could continue in that direction.
Awesome. That's a great question, Caitlin. Thanks. Excellent. You've got a question from Lance. Hi, Lance.
Hi, how you doing? We were wondering, our son is considering Colombia, and we were wondering how much, especially I guess in more of the sophomore, junior and on years, does Colombia help facilitate internships at local places like studios or production facilities that, takes the students outside the academic area and is able to start working little by little in the field?
It's a little bit in sequel to what I said earlier. Depends for a good part on, of course, how you develop in your field and the kind of recognition you get, not just from your peers, but also from the faculty. We have a number of faculty who is involved at places like Rex Tracks in Chicago, which is one of the big mixing studios. And especially if students are interested in working in studios, audio engineers are always needed. And audio engineers who actually have musical chops are the ones who are really golden, because they straddle both worlds, and they're usually far better at making mixes and things like that. So part of the BMus degree in contemporary urban and popular music already takes the groups out in their both in their junior and senior year to the studios to do professional mixing. But we have time and again students who realize they have a knack for technology and they want to go out and work there. It's a matter of making connections, and yes, we facilitate it. We don't necessarily are the ones who have an X amount of positions available. That fluctuates, but we are very, very closely connected with all the big studios here in Chicago. So yes, that is one definite option.
An option. What about like theaters for engineering or production? Goodman or Steppenwolf, for any of the, Chicago's such a big theater performance town as well as music. I mean, places like that maybe in the middle there.
Like I said, sound. So especially now that we're going back to live performance, sound designers and not just sound design, but audio engineers are always needed. It would require one of the scenarios that I mentioned earlier. So not just being a musician, but definitely having a double degree, where you take courses in basic audio systems and those kinds of things in audio arts and acoustics.
Okay.
And that's actually a very important part. So if your son is not decided yet exactly on whether it's going to be music or technology, that very first year is crucial to keep eyes and ears open and to really investigate, hey, what do I like best? Where do I really see myself in my future? And get to know the programs really in and out. Okay. It doesn't mean that if you choose one, you have to completely leave the other behind. There is an enormous amount of overlap. And if anything, the future looks like we're going to be collaborating even more tightly than we've already been.
Right.
And I'll kind of share too, just kind of on a side note, if there are additional questions eventually to connect you with someone within our audio arts and acoustics department to kind of talk a little bit more about the technology piece, know that my team in admissions is always willing to do that as well. So just want to throw that out there as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very welcome. Kaden, I see your hand raised. What's going on?
Hi. I was wondering about, so I know there's not currently a also, I don't know if this was the right way to ask a question right now. I was, anywho, I was wondering, I know there's not currently a major for audio production / engineering, but is there like with the classes, do you have to audition into those classes? Is there like a portfolio or like an auditions process for those classes?
So a little bit along the same lines that I said earlier, the answer is, by the way, yes. And I would recommend it no matter what, simply because what you bring to us, we'll look at and may get you faculty recognition, awards, in other words, more scholarship money. Whatever you've been doing in production, make sure you document it. And the more you upload, the better. We always say a minimum of 2, but I can tell you that most students have at least 4 or 5 different productions that they've been part of, to give an overview and very contrasting things. Not everything the same, because if you do one thing really well, we know that the other ones are going to be equally good, but different aspects of yourself.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Sure. And I see Napat, if I say that correct.
Actually, yeah, that was spot on. That's crazy. Sorry, can you hear me? Just want to make sure my mic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I haven't used this mic ever. So I have a multitude of questions, but I'm gonna limit it down to 3 because I know time constrictions. I want everybody to. So one, I'm interested. I am out of town. I actually am currently in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I was curious as to what the culture's like over there at Colombia, and what I could expect being a student coming from somewhere completely different from the Chicago area to going to Colombia.
You mean coming from the mountains and going to the flatlands of Chicago, where it's windy and where it's cold and miserable in the winter and bloody hot in summer?
I love Chicago. I just mean in general. I am a big Bears fan. But I mean in general, how is campus life and student life over at Columbia, and what I can expect as a student attending potentially?
Well, we're in the middle of downtown, and I think we have the best campus in the world. We are surrounded by the Art Institute, the lake, the park, all kinds of studios. There is Buddy Guy's. There is the Jazz Showcase. There are all kinds of great theaters around here. One of them was already mentioned, Goodman. We're fairly close to Steppenwolf, by the way. We're really in the heart of what makes Chicago, Chicago. There's a lot of culture around here. It's a very diverse city. And I have to say, I'm not from Chicago originally, as you might have heard from my accent, but I've lived there for 30 years and it's only gotten better. And it keeps getting better. So I love the city. I think if you're looking for a really, really varied experience with pretty much anything in the world, Chicago is a megapolis. It's everything, all cultures come here. It's one of the biggest transportation hubs in the US. So yeah, it's a wonderful town.
And I just love the fact that it's, again, 3rd largest city in the country. We're a huge city, and also it still can feel very neighborhoody. It's it's really cool to kind of navigate the city and go to different parts of the city and experience the culture, experience the food, or experience the art scene and those kind of things. And so I think just one of my favorite things about really where we're located is the easy access that you as students will have to the city. One of the things, and I always have to plug this, is every student gets what we call a CTAU pass. So that gives you unlimited access to all of the trains and the buses within the city of Chicago. And again, where our campus is located, most of the major train and bus lines really kind of meet right on campus. And so it's just a really great campus because it's so easily accessible to everything else. And then we have, over 65 or 70 clubs and organizations and, all sorts of things happening on campus. But I always tell students, if you're just spending your time at Columbia, you're not doing it right. You really should be the student who, yes, spend your time in your classes, be involved in the clubs and organizations you want to do, but make sure that you have and take that opportunity to get out and explore the city of Chicago. So that's one of my things I like to say too.
Copy that. Thank you so much. No, I love the city as much as y'all. I have it's basically my second home, which is why I've always been considering Columbia, because I have family out there. So I've loved the city. So I thought it would be a perfect fit. My next question involves more specifically towards the Bachelor of Music program. So I'm really drawn to the Bachelor of Music for the urban, contemporary, and pop music stuff. I was wondering what the program would look like as a vocalist, because I'm a singer. I consider myself a singer-songwriter, and I was really interested in how the program works when it comes to being a vocalist and different gigging opportunities, whether inside of school or outside of school.
So the CUP program, as we call it by its acronym, Contemporary, Urban, and Popular Music, was originally conceived with the singer-songwriter in mind. So there are different tracks that you can take within that program itself, because there's still a fair amount of choice. But it depends on how much emphasis you want to put on, let's say, developing your voice versus really delving into singing songwriting. While there is a minimum requirement in singing songwriting, you have to take 2 classes. People who really want to pursue songwriting to the max also take private lessons in singing songwriter rather than taking extra private lessons in voice. At a certain point, they say, well, if Tom Watts can sing the way he does, how much vocal training do I need to get? He's still one of the greatest singer-songwriters ever existed, and it's not the best trained voice. So that's totally valid. So within the degree, it's very important that, once again, you define what it is that you want to do. You look around to all the different options that we have. And then in consultation with faculty and with the coordinator of Contemporary, Urban, and Popular Music, Gary Jurgens, decide what the best path is for you. And what is going to basically make you help your dreams come true.
Okay, got it. And then one more really, really quick one. So when it comes to for here, just to raise money for myself, I'm not employed, but I do tons of gigs around the city as is. So since I'm planning on attending Columbia and moving out of my own town and over there, what kind of job opportunities could I see as a student? Are there tons of opportunities for me to gig, not only in school, but outside of school, in the surrounding area, stuff like that?
That is not always easy to say, because it depends first of all on what's actually depends on a number of factors. So what we have seen over the last couple of years is that, especially as the economy contracted, that more and more one-man bands were asked. So a lot of people who were able to self-accompany, whether it was with backing tracks or people who play instruments such as keyboards or guitar, who really got a lot of gigs. But there are also a lot of gigs in, music support or other kinds of things. It's not necessarily, while it's always the ideal to have something that keeps you busy, in what you're studying. There are other opportunities as well that sometimes pay a lot better than singing for $50. And I would always look at the bottom line, see what is the best for you, and yours truly worked 3 years as a short order chef at the beginning of his career, and yeah, I could have done a lot of other gigs, which I did at the time, but they didn't pay all that well, and the catering worked, paid way better. That bought me my first computer, my first car that I desperately needed to be able to transport my keyboards and my amps. So,
got it. Okay,
that.
thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome questions. Thank you.
Acacia, you have had your hand up for a long time now.
Yeah, I like the first question that you asked. I'm from Los Angeles and I hope to move to Chicago, so it's interesting hearing about that. I did want to ask, so I am interested in going into the more visual art industry after university. However, I do want to do schooling in music so I can do gigs in studios or recording kind of stuff. I don't know what is recommended for that. Do I major in a fine arts? Because I also have more of a likely chance to earn a what did you call it? A talent based scholarship in music as opposed to art. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of stuck here.
Okay, that's a good question. I would say that's also one that you want to, I'm not going to give you the answer right away. That's something that you want to mull over a little bit, and you don't have to make the choice right away. My first response would be, what do you consider yourself best at this time? What is the one where you think that is what I can do the easiest? And this is where I think I can learn a lot more, because as we said earlier, we're a liberal arts college, and there are all kinds of combinations you can make. So if you want to have a placeholder that makes you feel where you are more at home, might it be music or might it be the visuals? You might also think completely the opposite and say, well, why would I go study something that is already that I already feel at home in? Why don't I first delve into the part that is really challenging and is going to give me the most bang for my buck? And whether that's music or visuals, and do that part to a really high degree. At a certain point, there are going to be, because that is how pretty much all the arts are developing, there is going to be collaboration, which is going to necessitate for you to basically combine both worlds.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great point that Sebastian brings up, is that collaboration. I mean, that's what we've done at Columbia, I would say, for quite a while, but it's definitely just continuing to accelerate, right? And the way in which that visual artists collaborate with musicians and in kind of those intersections. And so, my biggest recommendation for you is to get to Columbia first, or wherever you end up going, right? Get to where you are going to be first, and then just start testing things out, start dipping your toe into different waters. And again, kind of to Sebastian's point is get a sense of where you think you do feel at home, or again, where you're like, you know what, I don't feel quite at home here. So I'm going to really kind of push in this direction because I feel like the most growth is maybe possible for me as I come out of it. And then I think it's just also important to name this as well, that oftentimes whatever you end up graduating with is not always what you end up doing for the rest of your life either, right? I have my undergrad degree in early childhood education. I was certified to teach preschool through third, and you can tell that I'm not doing that right now, at least not formally. Sometimes it feels that way, but I'm just kidding. And so just really to think about that and to really know that, college is about coming for 4 years, getting that piece of paper, obviously, but getting that experience, making those connections, building that portfolio and getting that resume together so that when you go out, you've got the critical thinking skills, you've got the writing skills, you've got the thinking skills, you know how to communicate with other folks, you know how to read a contract when you leave this institution, and you can go out and make some success for yourself. So wherever you land, you'll probably be okay. But just know that there are, a lot of options that you can lean into here at Columbia as well. So Sebastian, I had a great question that came through a private chat to me. Are there classes that a BA music student cannot take that a BMus student can?
No.
There we go. So no.
So no, it's the other way around. The BMus students have to take them. For the BA students, it's optional.
That's exactly right. So when you look in, I put the things in the chat a little bit earlier, right? I think the BMus program is what, 81 credit hours right now, Sebastian, maybe? And then the BA is probably?
That's 48.
48, there we go, right? And so a lot more courses required as a part of the BMus. It's just, again, those are required. On the BA, you're going to take your 48. And if you want to take, like Sebastian kind of said at the beginning, you want to take more courses in music to round out some of your electives, great. You can do that. If you want to take courses in another area of interest to round out your electives, great. You want to pick up a minor to round out your electives, great, right? You've got some opportunities there. And then the other question that she also asked is, could a BA student participate in the ensembles as well?
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you asked that question, because I realized in hindsight, I forgot to say that. So BA students are required to take a certain number, a fairly low number of private lessons on ensembles. And anything above there is, again, optional. For the BMus students, they have to take ensembles for their entire course of studies at Columbia. And as a matter of fact, we're even sharpening that. It's becoming, we call it applied music. That is going to be required for all BMus students. So let's say if you're in technology production and things like that, you're not only going to be required to make productions, but you're also going to be required to take part in whether it's a laptop ensemble or some kind of DJ experience or some kind of live, working live with electronics. Because there's so much of that going around right now, and that world is changing so rapidly, we find it absolutely necessary that you get in touch with the technology. And I said earlier that I was going to talk a little bit about technology. So I will do that once, yeah, we have 11 minutes left. So
Awesome.
I'll get past it, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to share real quick, because there are questions about how to get in contact with folks for questions afterwards. So a couple of things. All of you, since you have attended this particular event, you are in our admissions system, right? And so every person who is in our admissions system is assigned to one of our admissions representatives. So I have about 27 folks on my staff who recruit all across the city of Chicago, all across the country, and all around the world. And so depending on who your admissions representative is, actually probably here in the next week or two, you'll probably get an introductory email to that admissions representative. I always say that is the best first person to go to with any Columbia questions at all. right? And then as you have those questions, say that there's a lot of questions within the music area that it makes sense for us to get you connected with one of our faculty members in music or Sebastian to talk through it. We can set those kind of opportunities up for you as well. So, no, one of the things that some faculty have done is, well, you know, we can put our information here in the chat just so folks can kind of see it, and you have our email addresses. But no, it's not just me and Sebastian. There are a lot of other folks that will be around to help through the process as well. So I wanted to say that real quick before we dive into, because I know another question or two here. Will's got a question, so I want to be able to get through these as well. So there is a question here about the audition process for the contemporary urban and popular music. And we talk about sending in 2 songs of different genres. And I think the question really is getting at, you know, as someone who's not great at differentiating between different genres, are there specific standards you want us to abide by? And are there specific people who are evaluating or judging you on this? And here's ultimately, I think, where the question is getting at in what I'm going to say in response to this question is whatever it says on the website, just try to stick as close to it. I don't want people to get too nervous that they are going to do something wrong, or they're not going to upload the right thing, or that you're going to have, you know, your 2 pieces that you upload maybe be too close in contrasting styles, right? I often see students get just really nervous about the portfolio process. What should I upload? But it says this, but does it really mean that? And I always try to tell folks to just take a deep breath. Whatever it says on the website as a part of the portfolio, do as best as you can with what they ask. We're not sitting here, and Sebastian can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've seen Sebastian do this work. And it's not like Sebastian sitting here and checking off and making sure that you did exactly everything that you were supposed to do and that kind of thing. Like we want you to be able to showcase yourself, right? In the best way possible. And that's really what I think it's about at the end of the day. So I don't want folks and students to get too bogged down in the minutia of it, because we just want to see you showcase yourself. So would you say that's accurate, Sebastian, just to help maybe alleviate?
I can't say it any better, but the only thing that I will add to it, show is really the way you want to be seen, what your best side is. So make it as fancy, make it as good as you can make it. That is really what we see, because really what we're looking for is not whether you hit all the check marks. We want to see your potential and your promise. That is really what we're interested in. Yeah. You know, you come to us because you want to learn something. And if you can do everything already, you know, you're going to get a question from me, why do you want to come here? Don't you want to save yourself $100,000? You know, yes, we're going to give you some scholarships, but still.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So don't come here to learn something that you already know. And therefore, you know, sometimes we get the simplest songs and say, hey, wow, that really hit something. And it's not about, you know, having the best technique in the world or the best tools in the world. Years ago, we're showing our age right now, the Blair Witch Project was shot on, what was it, the first iPhone or whatever it was. It was not particularly high tech.
But it was so big. Like, I remember that vividly in the theater.
I know.
You watched it.
I know. So, you know, sometimes the best things are made with the simplest tools. So really, it show us what you have, what you can do.
Absolutely. Well said, Sebastian. Will, we'd love to hear from you.
First of all, thank you very much. I just had a quick question about, do you have to do the CSS profile in addition to the, we do not. Okay, wonderful.
Nope, just FAFSA. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Great question. Absolutely. All right, I think we've gotten through most questions, Sebastian, but I know you want to talk a little bit about technology. So I'd love for you to maybe end on that note with the last 5 minutes or so we've got.
Okay.
Left. If there's anything you want to share there.
So the more, well, we advance in the 21st century, Music is no longer just coming up with good tunes and making sure that you can play your instruments and use some technology on the side like sound reinforcement, those kinds of things. Music technology and music making is becoming more or less one and the same thing. So when you come to us, be prepared to delve into maybe far more music technology than you have done so far. So if you've only been working in a DAW is a linear, basically a fancy tape recorder. For those of you who know what a tape recorder still is, but basically goes from A through Z. There's an enormous amount of music software nowadays that is no longer linear. For instance, if you have you had a hard set on composing or performing for games, well, games can go any particular kind of way. So very often you have to work with variables. So a lot of the technology is no longer what it used to be. At the same time, last year, we would not have survived as a music department had it not been for our advanced standards of technology. Within no time, we'd figured out how to make our music videos. Technology goes way beyond just sound. It involves video, it involves all kinds of other parts of digital tools. Colombia gives you a really, really good package of basic tools. And then in the music department, we enhance that with your knowledge of the musical tools. Now, we acknowledge that music technology can become extremely expensive. So the music department has embarked on a new philosophy where we basically teach you to make your music with whatever you have available. And then at the music department, we're going to make sure that you have the tools available that are not within your financial reach. So we're building a new mixing studio for our undergrad students based on what we already did very successfully for our graduate students. We're working together with AAA with game design and the visual arts on all kinds of CGI and different opportunities, studios with extended realities and different ways in which sound has a very big role to play. We're working on a sound design major as well. So music technology right now has hit so many different points. So there is, as you'll see, going to be a requirement of basic technology that you have where you might say, well, that's not very advanced. Know that it's about the knowledge of how to use the kinds of tools and the specialized tools. That is what we will offer you here in our studios. That's more or less what I wanted to say. I did it in 4 minutes. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, folks, thanks for being with us this evening. I hope that you all got a chance to get your questions answered. You learned a little bit more about our fantastic music department. I hope that you all are excited about Colombia in some way, shape, or form. And so, the biggest thing at this point in time, if you are a senior in high school, or maybe you're at a current community college, next step is to apply, right? colum.edu/apply is our application website. It is available right now. Students can apply on our website up through, goodness, next summer. So, you don't have to get it done right now, but I do encourage you to definitely apply sooner than later, especially if you are considering, again, the BMus program. Again, that BMus deadline is January 19th. For that particular program, and the deadline for our Faculty Recognition Award, which is the talent-based scholarship, also is January 19th. So I'm trying to tell folks, get everything done by the holidays. So you can take December off, you can relax, you can spend some time with your family, and then come back hopefully in the new year with a nice acceptance letter from Colombia. And hopefully we would see you on campus at some point this upcoming fall and spring. I will put my email address in the chat box, so if anyone does want to reach out to me directly, please feel free to do so. Again, you all will have your own admissions representative, so Sometimes if you email me, I might respond back and copy your rep in there so that you can start building a really good relationship with your representative. And then again, as you have questions, particularly for the music department, you can start with us and we can certainly get you connected with Sebastian and the music department as well. Any final words from you, Sebastian?
Yes, and I want to echo that. In music, we're extremely closely knit with the admissions team. They're fantastic. They're marvelous. So it's really best to direct your questions to them because they know all of us around here, and they'll be able to, as effectively as possible, connect you with the people you really want to talk to. That might be me, but we have lots of other people here in the music department, with lots of coordinators, lots of different musicians, and they know them all.
Awesome. 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 Well, thank you all so much for being here this evening. Take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your night. And we hope to see you on campus here in the near future.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Bye.